The waiting room at Naval Medical Center San Diego held 43 veterans that Monday morning in early March 2025. 42 men and one woman who didn't want to be there. Kira Ellison Mercer sat in the third row, spine straight against the plastic chair. 29 years old, 5'3" in her Navy working uniform, 118 pounds of discipline wrapped in a frame most people underestimated. Blonde hair pulled back regulation tight, blue eyes that tracked movement with the precision of someone trained to notice what others missed. She'd been avoiding this appointment for 3 years. Different excuses each time. Schedule conflicts, deployment rotations, minor illnesses timed perfectly to cancel physicals. Anything to avoid the moment when someone would see what she'd hidden for over a decade. But the new Veterans Wellness Program was mandatory. No exceptions, no postponements. Even for petty officers first class who'd rather face enemy fire than expose their secrets. The check-in screen cycled through names: Johnson, Patterson, Mackenzie. The room smelled like government coffee and the particular anxiety of men waiting for their bodies to confess what their minds already knew. Korea veterans with trembling hands, Vietnam vets with thousand-yard stares, Desert Storm alumni favoring old injuries, Afghanistan and Iraq veterans still young enough to pretend they were fine. Akira scanned the room without appearing to. Old training, dangerous training, the Marine in the corner compensating for a bad left knee. The sailor 3 seats down, hiding withdrawal tremors under a newspaper. The soldier by the window calculating exits and fields of fire. She recognized the patterns because she shared them. The screen changed. Mercer, K.E. She rose smoothly. No hesitation that might draw attention. 11 years of service had taught her to be invisible when it mattered. The corpsman who blended into medical facilities. The petty officer who never caused problems. The woman who kept her head down and her history buried. But some histories refused to stay underground, especially when they were carved into flesh. Room 3B waited at the end of a sterile corridor. Standard exam room. Clinical white walls that had witnessed a million confessions of human frailty. Blood pressure cuff hanging like an instrument of truth. An anatomical chart showing muscles and bones that Kira had memorized in hospital corpsman A school 11 years ago. Lieutenant Commander Reynolds entered with a tablet and the practiced smile of a physician who'd performed this routine 10,000 times. Mid-40s, graying at the temples, wedding ring worn smooth from years of nervous fidgeting. The kind of doctor who'd seen enough to be competent, but not so much to be cynical. Petty Officer Mercer. He glanced at the screen. HM1, E 11 years active duty, currently assigned to. His eyebrows rose slightly. SEAL Team 7. Yes, sir. How long with the team? 2 weeks, sir. Reynolds made notes. Annual wellness screening. Standard protocol for all veterans in the program. Any current complaints? Injuries I should know about? No, sir. Medications? No, sir. Known allergies? No, sir. Reynolds looked up. Actually looked at her instead of the tablet. You're cleared for full duty with a SEAL team at 5'3"? Kira held his gaze. Steady, unflinching. I exceed all physical standards required by the Navy, sir. I'm sure you do. He set the tablet on the counter. All right, let's begin with vitals. I'll need you to remove your blouse for cardiac and pulmonary examination. Kira's hands stopped halfway to the first button. This was the moment, the one she'd choreographed a dozen ways to avoid. Winter appointments when long sleeves were justified, female physicians who didn't question, carefully timed conflicts that made thorough exams impossible. But today there were no exits, no excuses, just a male physician following protocol and a secret that lived on her skin. Her fingers found the buttons. One by one, the blouse came off. Navy t-shirt underneath. Standard issue. But t-shirts only hid so much. Reynolds moved behind her, stethoscope ready. Deep breath. She inhaled, held, released. Again. The cold metal pressed against her back. Professional. Routine. She'd performed this exam hundreds of times as a corpsman. Being on the receiving end felt invasive in ways she couldn't articulate. Good. One more. Reynolds' hand stopped mid-movement. Wait. 3 seconds of silence. 4, 5. Petty Officer Mercer. His voice had changed. The routine politeness replaced by clinical curiosity. I need you to remove your t-shirt. Sir, if the cardiac examination doesn't require... I found something. Need to examine it properly. Remove your shirt, please. No choice. No escape. Kira pulled the t-shirt over her head. The scar sat high on her left shoulder. Entry wound anterior. Exit wound posterior. The kind of injury that told a complete story to anyone trained to read trauma. Clean edges where military surgeons had debrided tissue. Surgical precision in the scarring. Then face her, eyes fixed on the scar. Then he faced her, eyes fixed on the scar. Then he did something unusual. He measured the entry wound with his fingers, approximating diameter, calculating trajectory based on the exit wound's position. This is a gunshot wound, high-powered rifle. His voice carried certainty. The entry diameter, this is .338 caliber, possibly .338 Lapua Magnum. Kira said nothing. Okay, petty officer, that's a sniper rifle cartridge. How did a Navy corpsman... The door opened without warning. Admiral James Caldwell stepped into the exam room like a change in atmospheric pressure. 68 years old, 6'2" with shoulders that still remembered 40 years of ruck marches. Silver hair cut high and tight, eyes that had made hard decisions in dark places and lived with the consequences. He was conducting his quarterly review of the Veterans Wellness Program, shaking hands, thanking medical staff, being the public face of Navy medicine's commitment to those who'd served. He glanced at Reynolds, glanced at Kira. His eyes found the scar. Everything stopped. Caldwell's face cycled through 3 distinct expressions in less than 2 seconds. Recognition, shock, something that looked like grief tangled with pride. Mercer. The name came out rough, uncertain. Kira Mercer. Kira snapped to attention despite being shirtless. Sir. Caldwell moved closer, not threatening, or careful, like approaching something precious and fragile and potentially explosive all at once. That scar. He didn't touch it, didn't need to. The size and position told him everything. Garrett taught you to shoot. Not a question. A statement loaded with history. Kira's throat worked. Yes, sir. Reynolds looked between them, clearly lost. Admiral, do you know this petty officer? Doctor. Caldwell's voice carried the weight of 4 decades of command. I need 5 minutes alone with Petty Officer Mercer. Sir, I'm in the middle of an examination. 5 minutes. Reynolds recognized an order when he heard one. He left. The door clicked shut with the finality of a vault ceiling. Caldwell and Kira stood 3 feet apart, the space between them heavy with everything unspoken. With a funeral 13 years ago, where he'd handed a folded flag to a widow and her daughter, one where he'd looked at a 16-year-old girl with her arm in a sling and eyes that had already seen too much. Garrett Mercer. Caldwell's voice softened to something almost gentle. Master Sergeant Garrett Mercer, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, Scout Sniper Platoon, 78 confirmed kills across 3 deployments, best shot I ever witnessed, best friend I ever had. You were at the funeral, sir. Kira's words came quiet, controlled. You gave my mother the flag. I was 16. Now I just finished my junior year of high school, arm in a sling. I remember. Caldwell's gaze moved to her shoulder. The accident that gave you that scar. It happened 6 months before Garrett died. Training accident. The rifle malfunctioned during one of your sessions. Fragment went straight through. You were lucky to keep the arm. I was lucky to be alive. Garrett blamed himself. Told me he should have checked the rifle more carefully. Should have seen the signs of metal fatigue. Caldwell paused. He also told me that after you recovered, you made your mother a promise that you'd never touch a gun again. Kira's jaw tightened. 13 years of therapy, 13 years of telling herself she'd made peace with her father's death. And still the anger lived right beneath her ribs like shrapnel too close to vital organs to remove. If he felt so guilty, why did he keep deploying? And why did he leave us 6 months later? The question came out sharper than intended. Raw. Caldwell didn't flinch. Because men like Garrett don't know how to stop. We tell ourselves we're protecting others, that we're the only ones skilled enough to do the job, that our knowledge, our experience, they're too valuable to waste on the sidelines. He paused. Why, it's a lie we tell ourselves so we can keep doing the only thing we know how to do. He died doing that thing. He did. Caldwell's voice dropped. Helmand Province, October 2012. IED ambush followed by coordinated small arms fire. He was providing overwatch for a patrol, spotted the trap, called it in, stayed on station to cover the withdrawal, took fire from multiple positions, got every Marine out, except himself. Except himself? Caldwell carried the weight of that truth in his voice. His last radio transmission was 4 words. Marines are clear. Out. Kira closed her eyes, breathed through the tightness in her chest, opened them. I joined the Navy in 2014, 2 years after he died. Hospital corpsman. I've served 11 years. Good evaluations. No disciplinary issues. Multiple deployments. I've done everything right. Everything he would have wanted. I heal people. I keep my promise to Mom. And nobody knows you can shoot. Nobody, sir. Caldwell studied her face. Until now. Until now? What's your current assignment? SEAL Team 7 started 2 weeks ago. Something shifted in Caldwell's expression. Memory. Recognition. Team 7. That was my team 30 years ago. Commander now is Nathan Thorne. Solid officer. Former enlisted who earned his commission the hard way. He'll work you hard, but he'll keep you as safe as anyone can in that line of work. I don't need special treatment, sir. Everyone needs someone watching their 6. Caldwell's tone left no room for argument, especially when they're carrying secrets that could get them killed. He paused, looked at her with eyes that had seen too much death to be surprised by anything. Kira, I'm going to ask you something. Think very carefully before you answer. She waited. If your team needs you, really needs you, not Kira the corpsman, but Kira the shooter. The girl Garrett Mercer spent 4 years training. The one who knows ballistics and wind drift and how to compensate for the Coriolis effect at 1,200 meters. His voice dropped lower. If they need that Kira, and the only thing stopping you is a promise you made when you were 16 years old and drowning in grief, what are you going to do? The question hung in the sterile air. Kira looked at the scar in the mirror across from her. Entry wound. Exit wound. The permanent reminder of the day the rifle malfunctioned. Hona, what you'll do. Same thing Garrett would what you'll do. Same thing Garrett would have done. Same thing every person who's ever worn this uniform does when the critical moment arrives. He stepped closer. You'll do what's necessary. The promise will break, and you'll live with it. Or because living with a broken promise is easier than living with dead teammates you could have saved. Kira met his eyes. Is that what you did, sir? More times than I can count. He smiled without humor. Welcome to the club nobody wants to join. We meet every night at 0300 when sleep won't come. Caldwell moved toward the door, stopped, turned back. Garrett used to say something about why he taught you to shoot. Despite your mother's concerns, he said, I'm not teaching her to kill. I'm teaching her to protect. And someday someone's going to need protecting, and my little girl's going to be the only one who can do it. His hand rested on the door handle. I think that day is coming, Kira. Probably sooner than you expect. When it arrives, don't hesitate. Garrett wouldn't want you to. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a card, set it on the counter. My personal number. You're Garrett's daughter. That makes you family. When you need anything, advice, a sympathetic ear, it's someone to run interference with command. You call me. Sir, Kira's voice stopped him. Thank you for being there at the funeral. It mattered. He was my brother. You're his daughter. Caldwell opened the door. Keep in touch. And Kira? Sir? Show them what you can do when the time comes. He left. Reynolds returned moments later, professional mask back in place. Finished the exam without mentioning the scar again. Cleared her for full duty. Were belt. In the mirror, she looked like every belt. In the mirror, she looked like every other sailor leaving a routine medical appointment. But she wasn't. Not anymore. Someone knew, and secrets once shared developed their own momentum. SEAL Team 7's compound sat on Naval Amphibious Base Coronado like a fortress built from necessity and sweat. Concrete barriers, with chain-link fencing, buildings that had weathered decades of salt air and hard use. The Pacific Ocean stretched beyond, where BUD/S students learned that comfort was temporary and pain was educational. Kira had been assigned here for exactly 14 days, long enough to learn the layout. Short enough that she still felt like an outsider waiting for permission to enter. Tuesday morning, 0800. The briefing room smelled like coffee, gun oil, and the particular musk of men who considered 5-mile runs a warm-up. 12 operators filled the chairs. 11 heads turned when she entered. Commander Nathan Thorne stood at the front, 44 years old, face weathered by 2 decades of hard decisions and harder conditions, eyes that cataloged everything and forgot nothing. 22 years in service, 3 combat deployments with Team 7 alone, the kind of leader who'd earned respect the expensive way. Petty Officer Mercer. Right on time. Take a seat. Kira moved to the back row, the corpsman's traditional position, close enough to respond to casualties, far enough to stay out of the operational planning. Gentlemen, Doc, Thorne's voice cut through the low conversations. This is HM1 Kira Mercer, our new corpsman, 11 years active duty, 3 combat deployments, Afghanistan twice, Iraq once, combat medicine certified, tactical casualty care, and TCCC qualified. He paused. When she comes with strong recommendations from Naval Medical. Silence. 12 pairs of eyes evaluated her with the clinical detachment of professionals measuring risk versus benefit. Chief Warrant Officer Frank Prescott spoke first, 50 years old. Former Marine who'd gone Navy for reasons he never explained. Everyone called him Gunner because muscle memory lasted longer than service affiliation. 5'3". His voice carried the gravel of cigarettes he'd quit a decade ago. No disrespect intended, Doc, but can you carry a 60-pound medical pack in full kit? Yes, Chief. Plus body armor? Plates front and back? Yes, Chief. Plus ammunition, water, personal gear? Yes, Chief. Gunner leaned back in his chair. We'll find out Friday. Senior Chief Petty Officer Wade Hollister sat 2 seats down, 48 years old. Quiet in the way of men who'd seen too much and learned that words rarely helped. They called him Granite because emotion never showed on his face. Never rushed, never cracked. Granite said nothing, just watched her with eyes that seemed to calculate trajectories and probabilities. Petty Officer First Class Declan Brennan sprawled in his chair like he owned the real estate. 32 years old, red hair, freckles that made him look younger than his file suggested. Voice that carried 3 rows farther than necessary. They called him Frost because of how cold he became in combat. Right now, he just looked skeptical. The corpsman before you was 6'1", 190. Frost didn't bother hiding his doubt. He struggled with the physical demands. No offense, but you're small, Kira finished. I'm aware. I'll manage. We're not carrying you if you fall behind. That was Petty Officer Landon Vickers, 24 years old, youngest on the team, still proving himself. Just establishing expectations. Thorne cut through the commentary. Mercer has exceeded every physical standard the Navy requires for her rating. She's here because she earned it. Whether she stays depends on her performance. Same standard we apply to everyone. He looked directly at Kira. Clear, Petty Officer? Crystal, sir. Good. Integration brief Thursday. PT tomorrow at 0530. Ruck March Friday. 12 miles, full kit. Questions? Silence. Dismissed. The team filed out. Akira stayed behind, pretending to review medical protocols on her tablet that she'd memorized years ago. Granite paused at the door, looked back. Mercer. Yes, Senior Chief. Welcome to the team. His voice carried no particular warmth, but no hostility either. Don't let Frost get under your skin. He tests everyone. Understood, Senior Chief. Granite studied her for another moment, like he was seeing something beneath the surface. Then he left. Kira sat alone in the empty briefing room. And here Friday arrived with clear skies and rising when she'd have to choose. Friday arrived with clear skies and rising heat, 12-mile ruck march, 60-pound pack minimum, full kit, desert terrain east of the base where temperature would climb toward 95 by noon. The team assembled at 0600, sun already climbing, heat building. Kira adjusted her pack one final time. Medical supplies, IV fluids, combat gauze, tourniquets, Honai chest seals, hemostatic agents. Everything needed to keep someone alive when their body wanted to quit. 62 pounds total on a frame built for 118. The first mile was easy. The second routine. Mile 4, her shoulders started the conversation with her nervous system about load distribution. Mile 6, her hips joined the complaint. Mile 8, every step became a negotiation between will and biology. But she'd made worse negotiations in corpsman school. Weren't carrying 200-pound dummies through obstacle courses. In field training, treating simulated casualties while instructors threw smoke grenades and fired blanks overhead. In real deployments, moving wounded men twice her size because the alternative was watching them die. Pain was temporary. Failure was permanent. Mile 12, the finish line, 2 hours 41 minutes. Not the fastest time. Frost and Vickers had finished 18 minutes earlier. Granite and Gunner 12 minutes ahead. It's once. Acceptable, Mercer. Gunner once. Acceptable, Mercer. Gunner approached, handed her a water bottle. You can walk with the weight. That's something. His eyes held something that might have been respect. But walking isn't fighting. Understood, Chief. We'll see how you perform when people shoot back. The following week brought weapons qualification day. The range sat 20 miles inland, miles away from civilian populations and their concerns about noise. Targets at 50 meters, 100, 300. The smell of cordite and hot brass. The sharp crack of controlled violence. Kira qualified with the Beretta M9 pistol only. Her military occupational specialty didn't authorize rifle training. Corpsmen carried sidearms for self-defense, not offensive operations. 40 rounds, 40 hits. Expert marksmanship rating. Gunner watched from the observation booth. Two of the operators moved to Rifle 2. Doc can shoot a pistol. Thorne nodded approval. Good to know if things get close. The operators moved to rifle qualifications. M4 carbines first, then the serious work. The M40A5 sniper rifle. Kira stood behind the firing line, supposedly observing, actually remembering. The rifle looked familiar. Too familiar. Same model her father had used, same stock design, same scope mounting system, same balance and weight distribution. Her fingers twitched involuntarily. Muscle memory from 1,000 hours of training. From lying prone in New Mexico desert learning to read wind. From her father's voice in her ear, teaching the breathing cycle that synced with cardiac rhythm. Granite was shooting 600 meters. Standard NATO chest-sized target. First shot. Miss. Left edge by 8 inches. Kira's lips moved, barely audible. Wind pushing left. Compensate right shoulder. Granite made the adjustment. Second shot. Found hers. Kira looked away. Too late, found hers. Kira looked away. Too late. Granite fired 4 more rounds. All hits. Respectable grouping for 600 meters. When he came off the line, Granite passed close enough to Kira to murmur, without others hearing. Thanks for the wind call, Doc. Kira kept her face neutral, said nothing. But Granite knew. And men like Granite filed information away for later use. 600 meters, he continued, voice low. 8 inches of drift. You calculated that fast. Observation, Senior Chief. Just watching the flags and mirage. Right. Granite's expression didn't change. Observation. He walked away. But not before one final glance that said everything his words hadn't. He was watching her now, waiting to see what else she'd reveal. Thursday afternoon, medical drill, tactical combat casualty care. Uttering the scenario that separated corpsmen who'd memorized textbooks from corpsmen who'd actually worked trauma under fire. The setup simulated an IED blast. 2 casualties with realistic wounds, limited supplies, hostile environment simulated by an instructor firing blanks and throwing smoke grenades. Kira moved on pure instinct. Casualty 1, severed femoral artery, massive hemorrhaging. She had 90 seconds before shock set in, 2 minutes before death. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency. The tourniquet was positioned and cranked down before the role player could finish his first scream. High and tight, exactly where it needed to be. 19 seconds from identification to secured tourniquet. Standard protocol allowed 30. Casualty 2. Tension pneumothorax. Air trapped in the chest cavity, collapsing the lung, killing the patient slowly. Needle decompression. Second intercostal space. Mid-clavicular line. 14-gauge needle. She felt for the landmarks through the training vest. Located the insertion point. Pushed the needle through. Pop. Air hissed out. Pressure released. Breathing restored. IV line next. While the instructor maintained simulated hostile fire. Combat gauze for additional wounds. Morphine for pain management. All while smoke obscured vision and blank rounds cracked overhead. When the drill ended, Gunner stood over the casualties. Checked her work. Checked her times. Damn good, Doc. Best I've seen from a new team member. Thorne nodded approval. Mercer knows her craft. Frost leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching, evaluating. Medical skills are fine, necessary even. His voice carried across the drill yard. But we need operators who can fight back when things go kinetic. Combat medic isn't combat operator. The words were meant to be heard. Kira heard them, filed them away. No anger, no wounded pride, just data. She understood the concern. They'd lost corpsmen before. Good ones, brave ones. Corpsmen who could save lives but couldn't return fire when shooting started. Who became liabilities instead of assets in close combat. They were asking the fundamental question every team asked. Will you get us killed? Fair question. One she couldn't answer with words. Only with actions. And actions were coming faster than any of them expected. Friday afternoon, mission briefing. The team gathered in the classified planning room. On screens on the wall showing satellite imagery, maps marked with GPS coordinates. Intelligence reports from sources Kira didn't have clearance to know existed. Thorne stood at the front, remote in hand, expression serious. Gentlemen, Doc, wheels up Monday at 0400. Destination remains classified until we're airborne. Mission parameters, recovery operation. The screen changed to show surveillance photos. 2 American contractors, civilian security personnel. It kidnapped 6 days ago near the Syrian-Iraqi border. Current intel places them in this compound. Overhead imagery of a small village. Single-story buildings clustered around a central courtyard. Desert surrounding, 1 road in and out. Enemy force estimated at 15 to 20 combatants. Mix of local militia and foreign fighters, all armed, all motivated. Thorne clicked to the next slide. The contractors are high value from a diplomatic standpoint. State Department wants them back. They were tasked with getting them. Timeline, approach routes, contingencies. Insert at 2,200 local time. Approach on foot from this position, 2 clicks north. Granite provides overwatch from the ridgeline here. Elevation advantage, 800 meters from target. He pointed to the map. Entry team of 6 conducts the breach. Recover the packages. Exfil to primary landing zone. Total time on target, 90 minutes maximum. Frost raised his hand. What's Doc's role, sir? Thorne looked at Kira. Mercer remains at base camp with communications. Standard operating procedure for first mission with a new corpsman. She monitors comms, prepares for casualty treatment if we bring wounded back. Expected, reasonable, safe. But somewhere deep in Kira's mind, her father's voice whispered, they don't trust you yet. You haven't earned it. You will. Mercer, Thorne's attention focused on her. Medical preparation is your responsibility. I want you ready for worst-case scenarios. Gunshot wounds, shrapnel injuries, burns, environmental casualties from heat or dehydration. Brief the team Monday morning before we depart on treatment protocols and what we're carrying. Yes, sir. Questions? Silence. Good. Medical brief Monday at 0700. Gear inspection at 0800. Movement briefing at 0900. Full rehearsal at 1300. Get rest this weekend. Monday starts the real work. Dismissed. The team filed out. Granite lingered after the others left. Approached Kira as she gathered her tablet and notes. Mercer. Yes, Senior Chief. You've been downrange before. Real combat, not training. Kira met his eyes. You know my record, Senior Chief. I know the paperwork. I'm asking about the reality. The reality is I've held men together with my hands while they screamed. I've made decisions in seconds that determine whether someone went home in a seat or a box. Granite nodded slowly, processing. That's what I needed to know. He started to leave, stopped. That wind call at the range? 600 meters, 8 inches of drift. You calculated that fast. Kira met his eyes steadily. Observation, Senior Chief. Just watching the flags in mirage. Right, observation. Granite's expression didn't change. Keep observing, Doc. Sometimes what we notice saves lives. He left, Kira alone in the planning room. She looked at the satellite imagery still displayed on the screen. The compound where everything would change in 3 days. Her hand moved unconsciously to her shoulder. He traced the scar through her uniform. 13 years keeping a promise. 3 days until that promise faced its ultimate test. The C-130 touched down at a classified forward operating base somewhere between Syria and places that didn't exist on maps. 118 degrees Fahrenheit. Desert air that felt like breathing through a furnace. Kira stepped off the ramp carrying 62 pounds of medical supplies on her back. The heat hit like a physical force. Around her, the team moved with practiced efficiency. Gear checks, weapons checks. The choreography of men who'd done this so many times it had become muscle memory. She found shade against a concrete barrier. Hydrated. Checked her med pack for the 3rd time. Everything in its place. Tourniquets, combat gauze, IV supplies, chest seals, morphine, the tools of her trade. Thorne gathered them in a tent that smelled like dust and diesel. Intel update. Packages are confirmed at target location. A guard force estimated at 15 to 20, higher than initial assessment. We proceed as planned. Questions? Granite raised his hand. Exfil route? Primary LZ unchanged. Alternate is 3 clicks north if we're compromised. Helo has 30-minute response time once we call. Rules of engagement. Hostile action equals hostile intent. Protect the packages, protect each other. Use minimum force necessary. Thorne looked at each man. This is recovery, not retribution. We get in, get them. To get out, clean. The briefing continued. Timelines, contingencies, communication protocols. Kira absorbed it all. Her role was simple. Stay at base camp, monitor comms, be ready if casualties came back. Simple, safe, exactly where a new corpsman belonged. But nothing about war stayed simple for long. They moved out at 1900. 6-vehicle convoy to a rally point 12 kilometers from target. The landscape looked like Mars. Red dirt, rocky outcrops, heat shimmer turning the horizon into liquid. Shakira rode in the 3rd vehicle. Frost and Vickers across from her. Neither spoke. Game faces on. The transformation from joking teammates to operators complete. Rally point established. Vehicles formed a defensive perimeter. Camouflage netting went up. Fighting positions established. This would be base camp, the place Kira would wait while others did the dangerous work. Granite approached as she organized the medical area. He carried his M40A5 sniper rifle like it was part of his anatomy. Doc, how you holding up? Good, Senior Chief. Heat getting to you? I'm managing. Granite nodded, looked at the medical supplies she'd laid out, saw the systematic organization, every item where it needed to be for rapid access. You've done this before. Different environment, same principles. Granite was quiet for a moment. Then what do you think of the plan? The question caught her off guard. Operators didn't usually ask corpsmen for tactical opinions. Stunning, I think 15 to 20 enemies is a lot for a 7-man entry team. Yeah. Granite's gaze drifted toward the target area, invisible beyond the horizon. It is. He walked away, leaving Kira with the distinct impression she'd just passed some kind of test. The sun moved across the sky. Temperature climbed to 122. Kira enforced hydration discipline on herself. Water, electrolyte tablets, monitoring her own condition the way she'd monitor a patient. At 1600, Petty Officer Landon Vickers stumbled near the vehicle perimeter. Kira's head snapped up. Training kicked in before conscious thought. Vickers was 24, solid performer, no medical history of concern. But right now his face was flushed crimson. Sweat had stopped. Skin looked dry despite the heat. Classic signs. Kira crossed the distance in 4 strides. Vickers, sit down. I'm good, Doc. Just sit now. The command in her voice surprised him. He sat. Kira pulled out her thermometer. They checked his pulse, skin temperature, level of consciousness. Pulse 130, radial pulse weak, skin hot and dry, pupils slightly dilated, heat stroke, not heat exhaustion, the real thing, the kind that killed people. Chief Prescott, her voice carried across the camp. Gunner jogged over. What? Heat stroke, core temperature probably 105 or higher. He needs IV fluids immediately, and we need to cool him down. Now. Gunner looked at Vickers, looked at Kira. You sure? Well, he was fine 10 minutes ago. Heat stroke progresses fast. He's not sweating anymore. That's late stage. We have maybe 10 minutes before he seizes or worse. Kira was already pulling IV supplies. I need someone to get Commander Thorne. We need to delay movement until Vickers stabilizes. Gunner didn't argue. He moved. Kira inserted the IV line. 18-gauge antecubital vein, saline flowing wide open. She soaked towels with water from the cooler, placed them on Vickers' neck, armpits, groin. In the high blood flow areas, Frost appeared with more water. What can I do? Keep those towels wet and cool. Change them every 2 minutes. We need to bring his core temperature down gradually. Too fast causes other problems. Thorne arrived. Report. Heat stroke, sir. Vickers needs at least 30 minutes of treatment before he's stable enough to move. Recommend delaying departure. Thorne studied Vickers. The young operator's color was already improving slightly. The IV fluid's working. Your assessment of his condition in 30 minutes? If he responds to treatment, he'll be conscious and stable, but not fit for combat operations. Recommend he stays at base camp. Can you keep him alive here? Yes, sir. Better than if we move him now. Thorne made the call. We delay departure by 45 minutes. Vickers stays at base. Mercer, he's your responsibility. Understood, sir. The team adjusted. Timeline shifted. Nobody complained. They'd all seen heat casualties before. Knew how fast the desert could kill. 30 minutes later, Vickers was sitting up, drinking on his own, color returning to normal, core temperature dropping. He looked at Kira with something like embarrassment. Sorry, Doc. Nothing to apologize for. Heat doesn't care how tough you are. How'd you know? I barely felt off before you were on me. Training, experience, observation. Kira checked his vitals again. You stopped sweating. Skin changed color. Gait was slightly off. In all indicators. Frost crouched beside them. I was standing right next to him. Didn't notice anything. Different kind of training, Kira said simply. Later, as the team prepared to move out, Gunner approached. You might have saved his life, Doc. Just doing my job, Chief. Most corpsmen would have missed it until he collapsed. Gunner's voice carried respect that hadn't been there before. You got good eyes. The team departed at 17:30. Kira watched them disappear into the desert. To 7 operators moving like ghosts, Granite with his rifle, Thorne leading, Frost and the others spread in tactical formation. She was alone with Vickers and the vehicle drivers, the radio her only connection to what was happening out there. Kira settled in to wait. Waiting was part of combat medicine, the hardest part. Knowing people you cared about were in danger and being powerless to help until they brought the wounded back. If they brought the wounded back. At 1900, a gunner's voice crackled over the radio. Base, this is Entry 1. We're 2 clicks from target. Chief Prescott is limping. Need Doc's assessment. Kira keyed the mic. Chief, describe the pain. Twisted my ankle crossing a ravine. It's fine. Can you put weight on it? Yeah. Does it hurt more when you push off or when you land? Pause. Push off. Any swelling you can see or feel? Longer pause. Maybe. Kira closed her eyes. Visualize the injury. Grade 2 ankle sprain. Maybe grade 3. The kind of injury you could walk on with adrenaline. The kind that would fail you at exactly the wrong moment. Commander Thorne, this is Mercer. Recommend Chief Prescott modify his role. That ankle could give out during close quarters movement. He needs to avoid rapid lateral movements or running. Thorne's voice came back. Copy. Prescott, you're on security. No breach team. Sir, I can... Not a debate. Admiral Chief. Gunner's frustration was audible even through the radio static. but he acknowledged. Kira released the mic, looked at Vickers, who was listening from his cot. "You just benched Gunner Prescott," Vickers said quietly. "He's not going to be happy." "I'd rather have him unhappy than have his ankle give out in a hallway and get someone killed." "Fair point." Full dark. Radio discipline went silent. The team was approaching the target. Kira checked her medical area for the fourth time. A litter's ready, IV supplies stage, surgical kit prepared, everything positioned for rapid treatment of multiple casualties. She'd learned this in Afghanistan. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, because hope didn't stop bleeding. At 2,215, the silence broke. "Contact! Contact! We're taking fire!" The radio exploded with overlapping voices. Gunfire in the background, not the controlled rhythm of a planned engagement. The chaos of things going sideways. Thorne's voice cut through. "High entry team, report. We're pinned down. Intel was wrong. 30+ enemies. We need—" An explosion. RPG by the sound of it. "Frost is hit. Frost is down." Kira was on her feet, every muscle tensed, every instinct screaming to move, to help, to do something. But she was 12 kilometers away, useless. "Doc," Thorne's voice strained. "We need you, now. Vehicle 2 is coming to get you." "Sir, I'm inbound." She grabbed her aid bag, 60 pounds of medical supplies, lighter than the full pack. In everything essential, the vehicle roared into camp. Kira jumped in before it fully stopped. "Go!" They flew across the desert. No roads, just rock and sand and darkness. The driver used night vision. Kira braced against the door, checking her supplies by feel. Tourniquets, hemostatic gauze, IV kits. 12 kilometers in 8 minutes. The vehicle couldn't get closer without being spotted. She'd have to run the last kilometer. Kira bailed out while they were still rolling. Hit the ground running. 60 pounds on her back. Felt like nothing. Adrenaline was a hell of a drug. Gunfire ahead, muzzle flashes, the distinctive crack of AK-47s mixing with the deeper boom of American M4s. She found the team behind a low wall. Frost was on his back. Dark stains spreading across his leg. High femoral area. Femoral artery. 90 seconds before shock. 2 minutes before death without intervention. Kira slid in next to him. Bullets snapped overhead. She didn't flinch. There was only the patient. Only the wound. Only the work. "Frost, look at me. You're going to be fine." His eyes were wide, scared. "Doc, I can't feel my leg." "Blood loss. I'm fixing it. Stay with me." Her hands moved without conscious thought. 13 years of suppressed muscle memory exploding into action. The tourniquet was on before Frost could register the pain. High and tight, windlass cranking down with brutal efficiency. Frost's scream cut through the gunfire. Kira didn't stop, didn't hesitate. 4 rotations until the arterial spray became a trickle, then nothing. 16 seconds. Her father's voice echoed in her head. "Under 20 or they die." She'd made it with 4 to spare. "You're stable. IV next." But there was no time. Gunfire erupted outside. Heavy, sustained. The distinctive rattle of a belt-fed machine gun. Granite's voice over the radio. Strained. Different. "You're taking fire from multiple positions. Count 30+ hostiles. A machine gun nest on the north building rooftop. 380 meters. I don't have angle from here. Buildings blocking my line of sight." Thorne assessed the situation. Frost down but stable. Packages secured but not yet extracted. 30+ enemies. Machine gun pinning them down. "We need that gun silenced or we're stuck here." Kira moved to the window, looked out, saw the north building, saw the rooftop, saw the machine gun crew. 380 meters, slightly elevated. 1 2-man crew, 1 firing, 1 feeding ammunition. Granite didn't have the angle. No one else had a precision rifle, except Frost's M4 lay 3 feet away, dropped when he fell. Standard ACOG scope. Loaded, safety off. Kira looked at the rifle, looked at Thorne, looked at the rooftop. Time crystallized, slowed, the way it did in her father's stories, the way he described combat, everything sharp, clear, inevitable. The machine gunner was aiming, taking his time. Professional. The moment comes, you don't think. You just moment comes, you don't think. You just act, because thinking gets people killed. She heard her mother's voice. Promise me, promise you'll never touch a gun again. She heard Caldwell's question. What are you going to do? Kira reached for the rifle. Her hands knew what to do. Muscle memory from 1,000 hours of training, or from a childhood spent learning this exact thing. Chamber check, round confirmed. Scope adjustment, range estimation, wind read, 380 meters, elevated target, light wind from the east. Bullet drop minimal at this range with 5.56 millimeters. She brought the rifle to her shoulder, felt it settle into the pocket. Perfect fit. Like coming home. Gunner saw her. Doc, what are you? Kira's world narrowed to the scope picture. The crosshairs. The target. Enemy machine gunner. In '08, her heartbeat slowed. She timed 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 her heartbeat slowed 8. Her heartbeat slowed. She timed her shot to the pause in her pulse. That fraction of a second when the body was perfectly still. I have the shot. Thorne turned, saw her, saw the rifle. Mercer! Kira squeezed the trigger, gentle, smooth, the way her father taught her. The rifle bucked against her shoulder. 2.1 seconds of flight time. What the enemy machine gunner jerked, fell backward, disappeared from the rooftop. Silence. Not actual silence. Gunfire still rattled. Shouts in Arabic. Return fire from Granite's position. But in the small space between Kira and the team, everything stopped. Frost stared at her. Holy, did you just... Kira set the rifle down, smooth, controlled, returned to Frost's side, checked his vitals. Pulse 110, blood pressure holding. You need medevac, but you're stable. Thorne hadn't moved. Must meters. Yes, sir. Moving target, under 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 target meters. Yes, sir. Moving target, under fire. Yes, sir. Gunner crawled over. Who the hell is your father? Kira was quiet for 3 seconds. The secret she'd kept for 13 years. The truth she'd run from. The legacy she'd denied. Master Sergeant Garrett Mercer, Marine Scout Sniper, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines. Recognition flashed across Gunner's face. He was older. Old enough to have served with Marines in that era. Garrett Mercer, the Garrett Mercer, Hellman legend. Kira nodded. Jesus Christ. Gunner looked at the rifle, at Kira, at the rooftop. He taught you? 4 years, from 12 to 16. And you're a corpsman. I promised my mother I'd never touch a gun after he died. Kira's voice was flat, controlled. Iker, today I broke that promise? Your father would understand. He'd insist. More gunfire. A reminder they were still in a hot zone. Thorne made the call. Exfil. Now. Granite, you and Gunner carry Frost on a litter. Mercer, you're with me. Rear security. Sir, I should stay with Frost. Frost is stable. You said so yourself. Right now I need someone who can hit at 300 meters covering our withdrawal. Thorne's eyes held hers. Can you do that? Kira picked up Frost's rifle. She checked it. Yes, sir. They moved. Combat extraction. Controlled chaos. Frost on an improvised litter between Granite and Gunner. Kira and Thorne providing rear security. An enemy squad tried to flank from the east. 4 men moving through rubble. Kira saw them first. Contact right. 150 meters. 4 targets. She engaged. Controlled pairs. 2 rounds per target. Center mass. Down, 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 down. 4 seconds. 4 enemies neutralized. Thorne stared at her. Where the hell have you been hiding? Keeping a promise, sir, until I couldn't anymore. They reached the vehicles. Loaded Frost. Called for medevac. The helicopter was inbound. 10 minutes. Kira worked on Frost during the wait. Reassessed the tourniquet. Applied additional pressure dressing over the entry wound. Checked for compartment syndrome. Adjusted IV flow rate. Kept him talking. Doc, Frost said quietly. I'm sorry. For what? For doubting you. At the beginning. Oh, the comments about your size. You had every right to doubt me. I hadn't proven anything. You proved it today. You would have done the same for me. The helicopter landed in a storm of rotor wash and dust. They loaded Frost. The bird lifted off. Gone. The team sat in the darkness, processing, coming down from the adrenaline. Granite approached Kira, his sniper rifle slung across his back. That first shot, the machine gunner, 380 meters. I had him in my scope too. I was about to take him when you fired. He paused. Perfect center mass hit. Thank you, Senior Chief. Don't thank me. Answer my question. How many combat shots have you made before tonight? Kira thought back. Training sessions with her father. Hundreds of them. Thousands of practice rounds. But combat? In training? Thousands. In combat? Tonight was my first. Granite went very still. Your first combat shot ever was 380 meters. Moving target. Under fire. And you made it. Once. Joint training exercise, 2011. Camp once. Joint training exercise, 2011. Camp Pendleton. Best natural shooter I ever saw. He mentioned teaching his daughter. Said you had a gift for it. Said you were better than him at your age. Kira's throat tightened. He said that? He was proud. Said you had the steadiest hands he'd ever seen on someone so young. Said you understood the mathematics of it instinctively. Granite paused. He also said you'd promised never to use those skills. That you'd chosen a different path. Healing instead of fighting. I did, until tonight. Your father would understand. Hell, he'd insist. He taught you to protect people. That's what you did. They rode back to base camp in silence. Kira sat with her thoughts. With the weight of what she'd done. She'd broken her promise. She'd used the skills her father taught her. Oh, she'd killed men. The logical part of her brain knew it was justified. Necessary. Thorne would be dead otherwise. Maybe Frost too. But logic didn't erase the weight. At base camp, Thorne called a debrief. Let's address what happened. Intel was wrong. We walked into heavier resistance than expected. Frost took a hit. Doc saved his life with a tourniquet in under 20 seconds. Then she saved mine with a shot I didn't even see coming. Then she provided covering fire during exfil and neutralized 4 additional hostiles. He looked at Kira. Mercer, you told us you'd never engaged in combat. I hadn't, sir. I treated combat casualties. Different skill set. Not anymore. Thorne crossed his arms. Here's what I need to know. Can you do that again? When we need it? Kira met his eyes. Yes, sir. Without hesitation? Without hesitation. Thorne nodded slowly. Then we need to evaluate your actual capabilities. Yes, Doc's marksmanship. We need to understand Doc's marksmanship. We need to understand what we're working with. Agreed, tomorrow morning, 0800, full evaluation. Thorne looked around the team. Anyone have concerns about that? Silence. The skepticism from 2 weeks ago was gone, replaced by curiosity, professional interest. Gunner raised his hand. Just one question, Doc. Why hide it? Why not tell us you could shoot? Kira took a breath. Because I promised my mother after my father died that I would never touch a gun again. I joined the Navy to heal people, not to kill them. I kept that promise for 13 years. I broke it tonight because watching Commander Thorne die wasn't an option I could live with. She paused. I'll have to reconcile that with myself and with my mother. But given the same situation, I'd make the same choice. Your mother going to understand? Gunner asked. I don't know, Chief, but I hope so. The team dispersed, exhausted, processing what they'd witnessed. Kira sat alone under the stars, pulled out her phone, stared at her mother's contact information. Couldn't make the call, not yet, didn't have the words. Instead, she called Caldwell. He answered on the second ring. Kira, I heard. You all right? How did you? Thorne called me an hour ago. I just wanted to know what I knew about Garrett teaching you. I told him everything. Caldwell paused. So, you broke the promise. I did. Tell me what happened. She did, all of it. Vickers' heat stroke, Frost's femoral artery, the machine gunner on the rooftop, the shot, the exfil. When she finished, Caldwell was quiet for a long moment. Your father taught you to shoot for exactly this reason, Kira. Not to kill, to protect. You protected your team tonight. That's what he wanted. Oh, that's what the training was for. Mom's going to? Your mother is stronger than you think. She married a Marine. She knew what that meant. She knows what service requires. Caldwell's voice softened. Garrett would be proud of you. The shot you made, the lives you saved, the choice you made when it mattered. I'm proud of you. It doesn't feel like something to be proud of. It never does. Not the first time. Not ever, really. I need to test you. Show them what Garrett taught to test you. Show them what Garrett taught you. All of it. No more hiding. Yes, sir. And Kira, call your mother. She deserves to hear it from you before someone else tells her. The call ended. Kira sat in the darkness for another hour. Finally found the courage to dial. And her mother answered on the fourth ring. Late in New Mexico, past midnight. Kira, is everything all right? Mom, I need to tell you something. Silence then. You used a gun. Not a question, a mother's intuition. How did you? I know my daughter, and I knew this day would come eventually. Tell me what happened, Kira told her. Simplified but honest. When she finished, her mother was quiet. Kira heard her breathing, heard tears being held back. Mom, I'm sorry. I know I promised. Stop. Her mother's voice was firm, controlled. You promised me when you were 16 years old and your father had just died. You were a child. You're not a child anymore. You're a woman who saved lives tonight. A pause. You're your father's daughter, a healer and a protector. I killed people, Mom. You protected people. There's a difference. Intent matters. Context matters. You didn't kill for revenge or pleasure. You killed because your commander would have died if you hadn't. Her mother's voice cracked slightly. Your father taught you those skills knowing this moment would come, knowing you'd have to choose. He'd be proud you chose correctly. Tears ran down Kira's face. I miss him, Mom. So do I. Every single day. A pause. But he's with you, sweetheart. In those skills. In that choice you made. In the people you saved. I love you, Mom. I love you too. Come home safe. The call ended. Kira sat alone in the desert darkness. Cried quietly. Let the grief and relief wash through her. Then she wiped her eyes. Drank water. Checked on Vickers one more time. Tomorrow they would test her. Measure her. Quantify what her father had built over 4 years of patient teaching. Tomorrow she would show them. No more hiding. Her father's daughter. Both things at once. Morning came early. Kira woke at 0500. Couldn't sleep anyway. The range was set up by 0800, targets at various distances. 600 meters, 800, 1,000, beyond that if needed. Granite waited with his M40A5, the entire team present. This wasn't just an evaluation, it was a revelation. Commander says we test your capabilities, so we test. Granite handed her the rifle. You familiar with this weapon system? Yes, Senior Chief. My father used the M40A3, same platform, earlier generation. This is the A5. Some differences in the stock and scope, but fundamentally the same. Understood. 600 meters. Winds about 5 miles per hour from the west. Show me what you can do. Kira took the rifle, felt the weight, the balance. Remembered. She set up. Prone position, bipod deployed, cheek weld on the stock, eye relief correct, breathing cycle initiated. The target came into focus through the scope. Clear, sharp. She calculated wind drift, bullet drop at 600 meters, made her adjustments. Her finger found the trigger. She timed her shot to the rhythm of her heartbeat. The brief pause when everything was still. Fired. Granite looked through the spotting scope. Center mass. Good shooting. He paused. 800. Kira adjusted her scope. Recalculated. More bullet drop at this range. More wind effect. She made the shot. Hit. Upper chest. Granite's voice remained professional. Neutral. 1,000 meters. Let's see if you can make that. 1,000 meters. More than half a mile. Where environmental factors became dominant. Where shooting became as much art as science. Kira had made the shot before. In New Mexico with her father spotting. In conditions she'd memorized. But this was different terrain. Different altitude. Different atmospheric pressure. She took her time. Observed the mirage through the scope. Estimated wind at various distances. Calculated the ballistic arc. Nearly 60 inches of drop at this range. Major scope adjustment. Breathing controlled. Heart rate steady. She found that perfect stillness. Or in that moment between heartbeats where nothing moved. Fired. 2 full seconds of flight time. The bullet arced through half a mile of desert air. Granite watched through the spotting scope. Said nothing for 5 seconds. Then, dead center. Perfect hit. Gunner, watching from behind, let out a low whistle. Jesus, Doc. Thorne stepped forward. Mercer, answer honestly. What's your maximum effective range? What's the farthest you've successfully engaged a target? In training with my father, I've made confirmed hits at 1,200 meters, sir. Multiple times. Consistently. 1,200 meters. Thorne looked at Granite. That's world class. That's beyond most military snipers, Granite corrected. Most guys max out around 800 to 1,000. 1,200 requires exceptional skill, exceptional equipment, and exceptional conditions. He looked at Kira. The fact that she's making 1,000-meter shots on a rifle she just picked up. My father was a good teacher, Kira said simply. Thorne processed this information. Here's our situation. We have a hospital corpsman who's also an elite-level marksman. We need both capabilities. The question is how to properly integrate them without compromising either role. Granite spoke up. Cross-designation. Combat medic/designated marksman. It's been discussed before at the command level. I'd never implemented because we've never had someone qualified for both roles. He paused. Until now. Your thoughts, Mercer? Thorne asked. Kira lowered the rifle, looked at the team, at men who doubted her 3 weeks ago, and now looked at her with professional respect. Sir, I joined the Navy to save lives. That remains my primary mission. But I understand now that sometimes saving lives requires eliminating threats to those lives. I'm willing to serve in whatever capacity best helps this team. If that means doing both, I'll do both. Thorne looked at Granite, at Gunner, at the others. Show of hands, who supports Mercer serving as both combat medic and designated marksman? Every hand went up, no hesitation. Then it's decided. Mercer, effective immediately, you're designated as our team's combat medic and secondary marksman. Granite remains primary sniper. You provide medical support and backup precision fire as situations require. We'll adjust our tactical planning to utilize both your skill sets. He paused. You'll need additional training on advanced marksmanship techniques, environmental compensation, moving targets, low-light shooting. Granite will handle that training. Yes, sir. One more thing. Thorne's expression softened slightly. Your father trained you well, Mercer. I'm sorry you had to break your promise to use those skills. But I'm damn grateful you did. Kira nodded. Couldn't speak past the tightness in her throat. That night, Kira couldn't sleep. She pulled out her father's old journal, the one her mother had given her after the funeral. She'd carried it with her for 13 years, but never had the courage to read it completely. Tonight she did. One entry caught her eye, dated March 2010. Kandahar finally got eyes on the ghost. Sergei Volkov, Russian, Spetsnaz trained. They say he has 47 confirmed kills. NATO forces, Afghan allies, aid workers. He's hunting our patrol routes, picking off Marines one by one. Tomorrow I hunt him. If I don't come back, tell Kira I love her. Tell her everything I taught her was for moments like this, when the only choice is between the promise and the people who need protecting. The next entry was 3 days later. Got him. 1,200 meters through a sandstorm. He was lining up on Sergeant Morrison's fire team. 6 Marines would be dead if I'd hesitated. Volkov survived, lost his right eye. Intel says he's sworn revenge on me and my family. Let him come. I'll be ready. And if I'm not, Kira will be. Kira closed the journal. Her father had known, even then. He'd been preparing her for exactly this moment, the moment when Volkov would come for her. 3 weeks after the contractor rescue, the operations order came down. High-priority mission, American journalist kidnapped near the Turkish border. A Marcus Whitfield, freelance reporter covering the refugee crisis. Intel suggested execution within 48 hours. This would be different from the first mission. Kira wouldn't be staying at base camp. Thorne gathered the team. Wheels up at 0400 tomorrow. Mission brief at 2000 tonight. Full kit rehearsal afterward. This one's going to be tight. Complex environment, civilian population nearby. Rules of engagement will be restrictive. He looked at Kira. Mercer, your entry team. Full medical load plus M4. Granite has primary sniper overwatch. Your backup precision and primary medical. Clear, sir. Frost, recovered from his leg wound and back on duty, grinned. Welcome to the varsity, Doc. The mission brief that evening laid out the complexity. Target compound sits in a valley. Population center nearby. 20 to 25 hostiles confirmed. Mix of local militia and foreign fighters. Whitfield is confirmed alive as of 12 hours ago. On intel suggests they plan to execute him tomorrow at noon local time. We have a window. Thorne clicked to the tactical overview. Insert by helicopter 2 clicks north. Granite establishes overwatch here. 800 meters from compound. Entry team of 6 approaches on foot. Breach at first light. 0700 local. Recover Whitfield. Exfil to primary LZ. Total time on target, 90 minutes max. Granite studied the terrain. Exfil concerns. Multiple. One road in and out of the valley. Well, if we're compromised, entire area can be locked down fast. Alternate LZ'd here. 3 clicks northwest. Helicopter has 20-minute response time once we call for extraction. Frost raised his hand. What's Whitfield's physical condition? Unknown. Assume he's been beaten. Possibly tortured. May not be ambulatory. Mercer, you need to be ready to treat and stabilize quickly. Yes, sir. One more thing. Thorne's expression turned serious. When intel indicates one of the guard force may be a former military sniper, possibly Russian or Eastern European trained. We're treating this as a high-threat environment. Granite, Mercer, be ready for counter-sniper operations. Kira felt ice form in her stomach. Russian sniper. She thought of her father's journal, of Sergei Volkov, of the words, he's sworn revenge on me and my family. It couldn't be. Could it? The helicopter insertion went smoothly. Pre-dawn darkness. The bird flying nap of the earth to avoid detection. They landed in a wadi 2 kilometers from target. Offloaded. The helicopter disappeared into the night. Silence settled over the desert. Granite split off immediately, moving to his overwatch position on the ridgeline. The rest of the team, Thorne, Gunner, Frost, Vickers, another operator named Dixon, and Kira, moved toward the compound. The approach took 40 minutes. Slow, careful, using terrain and darkness for concealment. At 0645, and they reached the compound perimeter. Granite's voice came over the radio. Overwatch in position. I have eyes on target. Thermal shows. He paused. Hold on. Showing more heat signatures than expected. Count 30 to 35 individuals. Thorne froze. Say again. 35. Confirmed. Multiple vehicles just arrived. Looks like reinforcements. And there's something else. I'm seeing what looks like a professional sniper position on the eastern ridge. Someone set up there within the last hour. Equipment looks Russian. Kira's blood went cold. Russian sniper. Professional setup. Eastern ridge. It wasn't coincidence. Commander, Kira's voice was tight. I need to tell you something. Make it fast, Mercer. My father shot a Russian sniper in 2010. Sergei Volkov, former Spetsnaz, took his eye. Volkov swore revenge on my father and his family. Silence on the radio. You think this is him? I don't believe in coincidences. Sir. Thorne processed this. Does he know you're here? If he's been watching, he might recognize my shooting style. My father taught me. Same techniques, same patterns. So this might be a trap specifically for you. It's possible, sir. Long pause. We proceed. Whitfield won't survive if we abort. Entry team, prepare for higher resistance. Granite, prioritize that sniper position if he engages. Mercer, stay alert. If this is personal, he'll be looking for you. Understood. Sir. They stacked up at the breach point. Frost on point with the breaching charge. Gunner second. Thorne third. Kira fourth. Vickers and Dixon on 5 and 6. Frost set the charge. Everyone moved back. Hand signals counted down. 3, 2, 1. The charge detonated. The door disintegrated in a shower of splinters and dust. They flowed through. First room, empty. Second room, 2 hostiles scrambling for weapons. Gunner and Frost engaged. Both targets down before they could fire. Third room, Whitfield, tied to a chair, face swollen from beatings. Blood on his shirt, but alive. Conscious. His eyes went wide when he saw American uniforms. We've got the package, Thorne reported. Kira moved to Whitfield. Quick assessment. Broken ribs probable. Facial trauma. Dehydrated, malnourished, but ambulatory with support. She cut his restraints. Can you walk? I think so. Stay close to me. That's when the world exploded. RPG through the east window. The blast wave threw Kira into the wall. Her ears rang. Vision blurred. She ran through her mental checklist. Arms functional. Legs functional. No major bleeding. Combat effective. But Vickers was down. Kira crawled to him. Shrapnel wounds across his left arm and shoulder. Painful, but not life-threatening. She applied combat gauze, quick bandage. You're fine, keep moving. More gunfire outside. Coordinated, professional. Granite's voice strained. I'm taking fire from that sniper position. He's good, very good. And I can't get a clean shot. He's pinned me down. Then something worse. I'm hit. Right shoulder. Can't maintain my position. Falling back. No overwatch. No long-range security. And enemies regrouping. Thorne assessed. Exfil. Now. Move. They moved. Whitfield supported between Dixon and Frost. Kira providing rear medical coverage. Gunner and Thorne on point. They made it 50 meters before the radio crackled. A new voice. Heavy Russian accent. Broadcasting on an open frequency. The daughter of Mercer. Kira's blood went cold. Your father took my eye in Kandahar. 2010. I watched him through my scope before he shot. Before I could shoot. Before he ruined everything I was. The voice was calm, professional, filled with old hate. I am Sergei Volkov. They called me the Phantom. Your father called me his greatest challenge. Today I take your life, as payment for what he took from me. Kira's hand tightened on her rifle. Volkov. She knew that name. Her father's journal had burned it into her memory. The one who got away. The one he'd wounded but not killed. The one who'd sworn revenge. Same breathing pattern, Volkov continued. Same patience. I watched you at the range through my scope this morning. He trained you well. Another pause. But you will die like him, alone, far from home, thinking you could protect everyone. Thorne cut in. Mercer, you know this guy? My father shot him 15 years ago. Took his eye. When he's been hunting our family ever since. Can you take him? Kira looked toward the eastern ridge. Volkov was somewhere up there. 900 meters, maybe more. Elevated position, advantage terrain. And he was good. Good enough to pin down granite. I can try, sir. That's not good enough. Kira took a breath. I can take him. They found cover behind a cluster of large rocks. 400 meters from the compound. 600 from potential extraction. While trapped between Volkov's overwatch and the remaining hostile forces, Granite stumbled in, right shoulder wrapped in a hasty bandage. Blood seeping through. Kira moved to him immediately. Let me see. I'm fine, Doc. Just a graze. That's not a graze. She examined the wound. Entry wound clearly visible. No exit. The bullet was still inside. Through and through would have been better. This one's staying until we get you to a surgeon. She irrigated the wound. Applied hemostatic gauze. I'd have pressure dressing over that. You'll need surgery to extract the round, but you're not bleeding out anymore. Nerve and vascular function look intact. Can I still shoot? Not with that shoulder, not accurately. Granite's jaw clenched. Then who's going to handle Volkov? Everyone looked at Kira. Thorne handed her Granite's M40A5. You said your max range is 1,200 meters. Volkov's at 900. Elevated. Good cover. Professional. You have any advantage at all? Kira thought about everything her father had taught her. One maybe. Volkov wants revenge. That means he's emotional. And emotional shooters make mistakes. That's thin. It's what I have. She paused. And one more thing. My father shot him at 1,200 meters through a sandstorm. This is 900 in clear air. If he could make that shot, I can make this one. Thorne studied her face. Saw something there. Resolve. Certainty. Do it. Kira moved to a position with a sight line to the eastern ridge. She set up. Prone. Bipod deployed. Scope adjusted for range and conditions. 900 meters. Elevated target. Wind picking up from the northwest. Temperature 72 degrees. Humidity low. All the calculations her father had drilled into her from age 12. All the patience he'd taught her. All the stillness. She searched through the scope, looking for Volkov's position. There. A flash of movement. On into the glint of glass, his scope catching early morning light. He was good. Very good. His position was nearly perfect. But nearly wasn't perfect. Kira keyed her radio. Volkov, I know you're listening. Silence, then. The daughter speaks. What do you want to say before you die? My father talked about you. Once, he said you were the best he ever faced. He said that? He also said you made one mistake. You let emotion guide your shot. That's why you missed. That's why he didn't. Silence. Kuyi, today you're doing the same thing. You want revenge so badly you can taste it. You've waited 15 years. You're not thinking like a sniper anymore. You're thinking like a victim. I am thinking clearly. No, you're not. A clear-thinking sniper would have taken the shot by now. You have position, you have advantage, but you're talking because you want me to know who's killing me, because the revenge matters more than the kill. Long pause. You are trying to make me angry. I'm trying to tell you the truth. The same truth my father knew. The best sniper isn't who shoots farthest. It's who's most patient. Kira watched through her scope, saw movement on the ridge, Volkov repositioning, trying to get a better angle, trying to prove her wrong. Her father's journal entry flashed through her mind. 1,200 meters through a sandstorm. This was only 900. Clear air, stable wind. If her father could make that shot in a sandstorm, she could make this one. Volkov shifted again, his one remaining eye searching for her through his scope. Come on, Kira whispered. Make the mistake. The same one you made 15 years ago. She remembered her father's words from a training session when she was 14. Revenge makes snipers stupid, sweetheart. It makes them rush. It makes them break cover. It makes them forget everything they know. Volkov wanted her dead so badly he could taste it. That hunger would kill him. Your father was a coward, Volkov spat over the radio. He shot me from behind, never faced me. He shot you from 1,200 meters, through a sandstorm, while you were about to kill 6 Marines. That's not cowardice. That's skill. Skill? Volkov's voice rose. He ruined my life, my career, everything I trained for. Gone. Because of one lucky shot. It wasn't luck. I will prove it was. When I kill you, I will prove he was nothing special, and neither are you. Kira saw him move again, on repositioning for what he thought would be the kill shot. His pattern was becoming clear. Move, pause, move. Each shift bringing him slightly more exposed. He was angry now, emotional, exactly what she needed. Volkov, one more thing. What? My father's last words weren't about protecting Marines. They were about me. Silence. He radioed home. One final transmission before the Taliban found him. He said, "Tell Kira I love her. Tell her to use what I taught her. Tell her she's ready." Complete stillness on the radio. Then Volkov moved. Fast. Aggressive. Breaking cover completely to get the angle for his kill shot. Kira had been waiting for exactly this moment. 900 meters. Elevated target. Wind from the northwest at 8 miles per hour. Temperature 72 degrees. Humidity low. All the calculations her father had drilled into her from age 12. All the patience he'd taught her. All the stillness. She found it now. And that perfect moment between heartbeats. And she fired. The rifle kicked against her shoulder. The bullet flew. 1.8 seconds of flight time. 900 meters of desert air. Volkov jerked, fell backward, disappeared from the ridge. Kira watched through her scope, waiting, making sure. No movement. "Target down," she reported. Voice steady, professional. Inside, something had shattered and reformed. She was no longer just her father's daughter. She was his legacy. "That was for you." "Hey, Dad," she whispered. "That was for you." The exfil turned into a running firefight. With Volkov gone, the remaining hostiles lost their coordination, but they still had numbers. Kira provided covering fire while the team moved Whitfield toward the extraction point. 8 hostiles tried to cut them off, moving through a dry riverbed to flank their position. "Contact left," Frost shouted. "Multiple targets." Kira shifted position, found cover behind a boulder, engaged. The first hostile went down at 200 meters, the second at 180. The third tried to take cover, but Kira anticipated the movement. 3 down. The remaining 5 scattered, retreating, regrouping. "Keep moving," Thorne ordered. "Mercer, watch our 6. Kira fell back, walking backward, rifle up, scanning. One of the retreating hostiles stopped, pulled something from his pack, RPG launcher. He was aiming at the extraction helicopter, now visible on the horizon. Oh no, if that RPG hit the bird, everyone died. 240 meters, moving target, no time to set up properly. Kira snapped the rifle to her shoulder, calculated on pure instinct, fired. The hostile with the RPG fell. The launcher hit the ground without firing. "Holy shit," Frost breathed. "She just... Keep moving." Thorne didn't have time for amazement. 30 meters to the LZ. The helicopter touched down. Rotor wash and dust everywhere. Gunner reached the bird first. Turned. 5 meters. Gunner grabbed her arm. 5 meters. Gunner grabbed her arm, hauled her into the helicopter. The bird lifted off immediately, banking hard, gaining altitude, accelerating away. Kira collapsed on the deck, gasping, shaking from adrenaline crash. Whitfield looked at her from his stretcher. "You saved us. All of us." Kira couldn't respond. The weight of it was crushing. The violence. And the lives taken. The necessity of it all. But they were alive. Whitfield. Granite. The team. Alive because she'd done what needed doing. Frost shook his head in disbelief. "That last shot, the RPG guy, you were sprinting and still made a 240 hit. Desperate times," Kira managed. Thorne knelt beside her. "You killed Volkov." "Yes, sir. The man who swore to kill your family. The man who's been hunting you for 15 years. Yes, sir. And you did it at 900 meters. On after talking him into making a mistake. Kira met his eyes. My father taught me that the best weapon isn't the rifle. It's patience. Volkov forgot that. I didn't. Thorne was quiet for a moment. Your father would be proud. I know, sir. I know. 2 days later, Admiral Caldwell flew in. The team assembled in full dress uniforms, formal ceremony, something important. Caldwell entered. The room snapped to attention. At ease. Caldwell moved to the front of the room. And I've reviewed the after-action reports from your last 2 missions. What I've read is extraordinary. He looked at each team member. Then his eyes settled on Kira. Petty Officer Mercer has, in the span of 1 month, saved 4 lives through medical intervention, neutralized 9 enemy combatants, held a defensive position alone against superior numbers, eliminated a high-value hostile sniper in single combat, and enabled the successful recovery of an American civilian journalist. Caldwell approached Kira directly. Her father, Master Sergeant Garrett Mercer, was one of the finest Marines I ever served with. He taught his daughter not just to shoot, but to serve, to protect, to understand that sometimes healing requires violence, and violence can be an act of healing. He paused. When Garrett died 13 years ago, Kira promised her mother she'd never touch a gun again. She kept that promise for 13 years. She broke it 3 weeks ago to save her commander's life, and she's continued breaking it to save her teammates and accomplish her missions. Caldwell's voice softened. Garrett would understand that. Hell, he'd demand it. He taught her those skills knowing someday she'd face exactly that choice. Promise her teammates. She's chosen correctly every time. He looked directly at Kira. Your father didn't teach you to be a killer, Petty Officer Mercer. He taught you to be a protector. You're honoring that teaching every single day. Caldwell pulled out official paperwork. Effective immediately, I'm recommending your cross-designation, combat medic and designated marksman. Official recognition of capabilities you've demonstrated in the field. He paused. Additionally, I'm recommending you for the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal for your actions during the Whitfield rescue operation, and for eliminating the threat that Sergei Volkov posed to American forces in the region. Kira's throat tightened. Sir, I was just doing my job. Your job now includes things most corpsmen never do, things most operators struggle to do. Caldwell smiled slightly. Garrett would be proud, more than proud. The team's response was immediate. Gunner stepped forward, did something highly unusual. He saluted her. Enlisted to enlisted. Not standard protocol, but deeply meaningful. Kira returned the salute. Frost approached next, extended his hand. I was wrong about you, Doc. Completely wrong. You weren't wrong, Frost. You didn't have the information. Now you do. Granite came last, arm in a sling from surgery to remove the bullet. He handed her something. A patch, custom designed, Navy SEAL trident overlaid with a medical cross. Red cross in the center, gold trident surrounding it. Unofficial, Granite said, but accurate. You're both now. Embrace it. That evening, Kira sat alone, looking at the patch, thinking about the path that had brought her here, the promises made and broken, the father lost and honored, the person she'd become. Her phone rang. Her mother. Mom, I saw the news. Her mother's voice was careful, controlled. American journalist rescued from Syria. They mentioned SEAL team involvement. Were you there? Yes. Silence then. Are you hurt? No. Physically, I'm fine. And emotionally? Kira thought about how to answer that. Corn, I'm processing. It's complicated. Your father used to say the same thing after deployments. He'd need time to reconcile what he'd done with who he was. Her mother took a breath. Kira, I need you to understand something. I'm not happy you had to break your promise, but I understand why you did, and I'm proud of you. There's something else, Mom. Silence. The sniper who shot at my team, the one I had to kill, it was Sergei Volkov. She heard her mother's sharp intake of breath. And the man Dad shot in 2010, the one who swore revenge. He found me, Mom. He was waiting for me. Long silence. And you stopped him. I stopped him. At 900 meters, the way your father taught you. Yes, Kira heard her mother crying, quietly, the tears of a woman who had lost her husband to violence and now understood her daughter had ended the threat that had haunted their family for 15 years. Your father would be so proud, Kira. One, he trained you for exactly this moment. He knew it might come someday. He wanted you to be ready. I was ready, Mom. Because of him. Come home safe, sweetheart. Please. I will. I love you. I love you too. 6 months later, Kira stood at the front of a classroom at Naval Special Warfare Center, Coronado. 16 students, mixed group of corpsmen and operators, the first class of its kind. The course was called Integrated Combat Medicine and Tactical Shooting. Her course. Welcome to ICMTS, she began. This course exists because warfare doesn't respect job descriptions. Combat doesn't care if you're a medic or a shooter. It demands both. We're going to teach you to be both. She moved to the demonstration area, medical dummy on the floor, rifle range visible through the windows behind her. Rule 1. Medical treatment always takes priority. Always. Your primary mission is saving lives. But to save lives, your patients need to survive immediate threats. Sometimes that requires you to fight first. Sometimes that requires you to eliminate threats. Understanding when to transition between roles is what separates good operators from great ones. The demonstration followed. Kira showed them the integration, treating a simulated femoral artery wound, tourniquet application, proper technique, 19 seconds start to finish, then immediate transition to rifle, moving to firing position, engaging a target at 300 meters, clean hit. Then back to patient, IV insertion, continuing medical care. Total elapsed time, 47 seconds. The students watched in stunned silence. This isn't about being the best medic or the best shooter, Kira continued. It's about being competent enough at both that your team can rely on you for either skill when they need it. Questions? A young female corpsman raised her hand, early 20s, nervous. Petty Officer Mercer, how do you reconcile it? The medical mindset is about preserving life. The combat mindset is about taking life. How do you balance that? Kira considered the question. She'd asked herself the same thing 1,000 times. You don't balance them. You integrate them. Both serve the same purpose, protecting your team. Sometimes protection means healing wounds. Sometimes it means eliminating the threat creating those wounds. Both are acts of service. Both are necessary. But doesn't that violate your medical oath? First, to do no harm. The oath is about not causing unnecessary harm, but context matters. Allowing your teammates to die when you could prevent it, that's harm. Taking hostile lives to preserve friendly lives, that's triage. We make those calculations in medicine constantly. This is the same principle applied to a broader scope. The class continued for 6 hours. Practical exercises, medical scenarios, live fire drills, the students learning to shift between roles seamlessly. After class, Kira returned to her office. The desk was covered with paperwork, requests from 3 VA hospitals for curriculum adoption, official interest from the Department of Defense in expanding the program, letters from other female service members asking how they could follow the same path, and one email that made her stop. Subject line, you changed everything. From HM3, Sarah Mitchell, Camp Pendleton, Petty Officer Mercer, I'm a corpsman with 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines. And I read about what you've done, about being both medic and marksman. My father was Army Ranger. He taught me to shoot before he died when I was 14. I joined the Navy because I promised my mother I'd heal people, not fight. But your story showed me I don't have to choose. I can honor both parts of who I am. Thank you for proving that path exists, for showing women can serve in integrated combat roles without abandoning who we are. You literally changed my life. Kira read it 3 times. And thought about legacy, about ripples spreading outward. Her father had created ripples that reached her. Now she was creating ripples reaching others, the cycle continuing. That evening, Kira drove to the range overlooking Coronado Beach, where SEAL candidates trained, where her father had visited years ago, watching operators and dreaming impossible dreams about his daughter. She set up her rifle. M40A5, 1,000 meters, the shot that separated good from exceptional. The sun was setting, wind picking up off the ocean, temperature dropping, every variable working against accuracy. She calculated everything, compensated for each factor, made her adjustments, controlled her breathing, lowered her heart rate, found that perfect moment of stillness, fired, 2 seconds of flight. The bullet crossed half a mile of evening air. She looked through the spotting scope. Perfect center mass. "Still got it, Dad," she whispered. She heard his voice in her memory, clear as the day he taught her. "You always had it, sweetheart. Better than me by the time you were 16. Now you're the best I've ever seen. I miss you. I know, but you're not alone. You have your team, your students, your purpose. That's what I wanted. Not for you to follow my exact path, but to find your own path that honored what I taught you." I stopped Volkov. Finally. I know. I was watching. Was I ready? You've always been ready, Kira. Since the day you first held a rifle. Since the day you understood what it meant to protect someone. Since the day you chose to heal instead of fight, but kept the skills to do both. Kira packed her gear, drove back to base. Her phone buzzed. Text from Thorne. "Mission brief tomorrow. 8 o'clock. Complex operation. Going to need everything you've got." She smiled, typed back. "Ready, sir. Always ready. 23 lives saved in 6 months. Medical interventions that would have been deaths. Combat actions that prevented friendly casualties. The numbers didn't tell the story. The faces did. Frost alive because of a tourniquet applied in the 16 seconds. Thorne alive because of a 380-meter shot when it mattered most. Whitfield home with his family because someone had both the medical skills to stabilize casualties and the tactical skills to fight through resistance. Volkov stopped because a daughter finished what her father started. Kira Mercer. It taught her. The legacy wasn't the shots taught her. The legacy wasn't the shots made or the enemies killed. It was the teammates saved, the students trained, the path proven. She demonstrated that integration was possible, that you didn't have to choose between healing and fighting, that the best warriors understood both. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new lives to save, new threats to eliminate, new opportunities to demonstrate what integration really meant. But tonight, she slept well. The promise broken had become a promise fulfilled, just in a different form than her 16-year-old self had imagined. Her father understood. Her mother had accepted. Her team relied on her. Her students learned from her. And somewhere in the future, the next generation would build on what she'd proven. That service took many forms. That protection required multiple tools. And that the best among them mastered both, the way Kira Mercer had, the way her father taught her, the way the mission demanded. Healer and warrior, medic and marksman, both hands working together, the legacy complete, the story continuing. The end.